You know, I've had so many people walk into my office with worried eyes, but the ones who stay with me the most are those who never imagined they'd end up as my patients. They didn't smoke. They stayed away from fried foods. They exercised regularly. They read nutrition labels, bought organic produce, took their vitamins every day. And yet, one morning, they woke up, tried to say a simple sentence, but the words wouldn't come. One side of their face felt heavy. Their arm wouldn't move. Have you ever pictured that? Going to bed feeling perfectly fine, only to wake up and find yourself trapped inside a body that doesn't respond the way it did just hours before. No pain, no sharp warning, just a frightening silence running through your bloodstream. I've seen it so many times, it's hard not to carry it with me. What shocks me is that these strokes don't just happen to the careless. They happen to people who do everything right. And sometimes the culprit is the very food they've trusted their whole lives to keep them healthy. I remember Mary Ellen, 74, from Michigan. She loved her green smoothies so much that every night she blended one fresh spinach, almond milk, banana, a perfect recipe, until that morning she couldn't hold her coffee mug. Tests showed high oxalate levels in her blood, declining kidney function, and stiffened arteries. Through tears, she told me, "Doctor, I thought I was feeding my brain. I had no idea I was starving it." You see, after 65, the body doesn't work like it did at 30 or 40. Your kidneys filter more slowly. Your liver clears toxins more slowly. Your blood vessels lose elasticity. Your brain becomes more sensitive to shifts in blood pressure and hydration. Foods you once handled easily can now become a burden. I want you to picture this. Your blood vessels are like the water pipes in a house. When new, they're smooth and the water flows easily. Over time, sediment builds up and the walls harden. If the water pressure drops at night and suddenly surges in the morning, a leak or a rupture can happen. Your brain works the same way. Another patient of mine, Dolores, 81, loved a few slices of cucumber before bed. She thought it was a light, healthy way to end the day. But cucumbers are a natural diuretic. Combined with her blood pressure medication, they caused mild dehydration overnight. Her blood pressure dipped too low in her sleep, then spiked in the early morning, just enough to send a clot to her brain. She woke up with half her face numb. Have you ever thought about that? That sometimes it's not the cake or fried food that's dangerous, but the healthy foods, when eaten at the wrong time or in the wrong way. At this age, our bodies are like a book that's almost finished. Each page is thinner now, more delicate. You can't flip them as roughly as you used to. But that makes each page more precious and worth protecting. There are vegetables and fruits that sound completely safe. Yet if you're on heart medication, blood thinners, or have kidney or vascular issues, they can quietly push you toward danger. Not because they're bad, but because your body has changed. I'm not telling you this to make you fearful. I want you to feel empowered. Because the truth is, once you understand your body as it is today, you can still eat deliciously, eat safely, and keep your mind sharp for many more years. One thing I've learned after decades in medicine is this. Food isn't just nutrition. It's information sent to your body. Every bite is a sentence. And you get to choose which sentences will write the next chapter of your health story. I'm sharing these stories not to scare you, but to help you reflect on your habits. You might be eating something every night because you've always believed it's healthy. But ask yourself, can my body still process this the way I think it can? We're not 40 anymore. The rules have changed. But that's not bad news. It's a reminder that you're wiser now, more experienced, more attuned to your body than ever before. And when you truly listen, you'll find a way to eat that's both enjoyable and protective for your heart, for your brain, and for the life you want to keep living. So, in the next few minutes, let's uncover some foods that might seem harmless, maybe even healthy, but could quietly raise your risk of stroke. And more importantly, I'll show you how you can still enjoy them safely. Because I believe good health isn't just about living longer. It's about staying sharp, clear-headed, and fully present in every moment. You remember Mary Ellen, the woman I mentioned earlier? Her story brings me to the first food I want you to pay attention to: spinach. We've heard it our whole lives. Eat your greens. They're good for your blood, good for your brain. And that's true when you're young and your kidneys are working like a brand new water filter. But after 65, everything slows down. Raw spinach is high in oxalates, a compound that can bind with calcium and form tiny crystals that stick to your blood vessel walls, just like mineral deposits in plumbing. At first, you won't notice a thing, but over time, those deposits harden and narrow the vessel, and then all it takes is one sudden change in blood pressure for a vessel in your brain to get blocked. When my patients love spinach, I tell them, cook it, and don't eat it every single day. It's like your favorite song, beautiful in moderation, but if you play it on repeat all day, every day, you'll stop enjoying it. Then there's Dolores, 81 years old, with her few slices of cucumber before bed. Her story reminds me to stress that sometimes it's not just what you eat, it's when you eat it. Cucumbers have a mild diuretic effect. During the day, no problem. But eat them right before bed, especially if you're on blood pressure medication and they can quietly dehydrate you while you sleep. When you're dehydrated, your blood thickens, and your blood pressure can swing dramatically. And in the early morning, that pressure shift is when many strokes happen. I asked Dolores, if you had known this sooner, would you have changed your habit? She gave me a sad smile and said, if only you'd told me a few years ago. Raw broccoli, even the name sounds safe, right? But if you eat a lot of it, especially in green smoothies, remember it contains goitrogens, compounds that can slow down your thyroid. Your thyroid is like the body's thermostat. It regulates temperature, heart rate, and metabolism. When it slows, your heart rate drops and circulation to the brain decreases. Ruth, 76, a retired librarian, loved blending raw broccoli with apples and celery. After a few months, she noticed brain fog, numbness in her hands while reading, and when checked, her heart rate was unusually low. All it took was changing the way she prepared it lightly, steaming or blanching, instead of eating it raw, and things improved. And then there's garlic. I'll be honest, this is one of my favorite foods. I respect it. But garlic is like a sharp knife, wonderful when used well, dangerous when overused. Garlic contains allicin, a natural blood thinner. If you're taking aspirin, warfarin, or other blood-thinning medications, eating too much garlic, especially raw, can make your blood too thin. Clara, 84, ate 2 raw cloves every night, believing she was reversing aging. One day, while brushing her hair, she felt dizzy, collapsed, and had a minor brain bleed. There was no major fall, just fragile blood vessels and blood that couldn't clot fast enough. Lastly, eggplant. It sounds harmless, packed with antioxidants, low in calories. But eggplant belongs to the nightshade family and contains solanine. For people who are sensitive or who already have blood vessel problems, solanine can cause blood vessels to constrict, reducing blood flow to the brain. Francis, 82, adored eggplant parmesan. eating it several times a week. Over time, she developed cold hands and feet and occasional dull headaches. The day she couldn't lift her right arm, she learned she'd had a small stroke. And here's something most people don't realize. Green tomatoes, especially when they're underripe or pickled, contain solanine, just like eggplant. Younger folks might be fine, but for older adults, especially those with stiffened arteries, it can become a problem when eaten often. I once saw a patient's blood pressure spike dramatically after a single meal loaded with pickled green tomatoes. And finally, dried shiitake mushrooms. They're nutrient-rich, yes, but also high in purines, which the body converts into uric acid. If your kidneys aren't filtering well, uric acid builds up, thickening your blood and increasing inflammation along the vessel walls. That doesn't trigger a stroke overnight, but it's one of those silent puzzle pieces that slowly reduce blood flow to the brain. You see, none of these foods are bad in the absolute sense. They only become risky when they mix with age, existing health issues, and the wrong timing or portion size. It's like sunlight, gentle and nourishing in the morning, but in the heat of midday, it can burn. After more than 3 decades walking hospital halls, I've learned something important. The thing that weakens us fastest isn't age itself. It's living as if we're still 40. I've seen strokes that didn't come from tables full of cake and fried food, but from green smoothies, fresh salads, all made with love and the belief that this is the best thing for me. But after 65, our bodies aren't the same as they were at 25. They're like a fine antique clock. Intricate, beautiful, but only running well with the right care. I'm not telling you to cut out every food I've mentioned. I'm not saying you should live in fear every time you pick up a fork. What I am saying is this: be more intentional, more thoughtful, and more tuned in to your body. Ask yourself, am I eating this because it truly fits my body today? Or just because I've always thought it was good for me? When am I eating it right before bed? Or when my body might already be a little dehydrated? How do I actually feel after eating it clear-headed or sluggish? One of my patients, Margaret, 73, ate in what she thought was the perfect whey protein powder. Raw veggie smoothies, extra garlic, grilled eggplant. Yet every morning she felt lightheaded. Her blood pressure swung up and down, and her memory slipped. We simplified everything. 1 boiled egg, half an avocado, a slice of whole grain toast, a handful of blueberries, and a glass of warm water. Within weeks, she felt like she'd been given a new brain, clear, calm, and happier. You see, sometimes health isn't about adding more, it's about letting go of what no longer serves you. At this stage of life, we don't need to chase every superfood or diet trend. What we need is stability, steady blood pressure, steady circulation, steady moods. Because your brain doesn't like sudden shocks, whether they come from stress, dehydration, or rapid shifts in your body's chemistry. Remember this: food doesn't just feed your body, it writes the story of your life. Every bite is a sentence, every meal a new chapter. And with the wisdom you have now, you can write it more beautifully than ever. So tomorrow, when you look at your plate, ask, will this make my tomorrow brighter? Will it help me stay sharp, alert, and free? If the answer is yes, eat it with joy. If the answer is I'm not sure, adjust, cook it more, eat less, or swap it for something else. Because in the end, health isn't about living the longest life possible. It's about living the best life possible, with a clear mind, steady legs, and a peaceful heart. And I believe, when you understand and honor your body as it is today, You're giving yourself the greatest gift of all. More quality years to love, to enjoy, and to truly live.